Amazon. We heard on Friday here in Casa Bayer from Bill Anderson, the CEO of Bayer, and also from Rachel Kite, the UK's climate envoy. Building on the scene-setting conversation we had on Friday, today we're going to dive a bit deeper into some of the challenges that we face in the agricultural industry, that farmers face as global food production faces ever more challenges from climate change. We're kicking off today with a conversation with two women who are directly involved in this question of sustainable agriculture, directly involved here in Brazil. We have Aline Vick, who is a second-generation Brazilian farmer who's focused on regenerative agriculture. And we have Ana Ula, who is the executive director at Embrapa, which is the Brazilian Agriculture Research Corporation. Thank you both so much for being here. I wanted to first talk a little bit, Aline, about your background, because it's really fascinating. You're a farmer, but you're also an economist. You co-manage your family farm, Fazenda Estancia. I'm probably saying that wrong. You can correct me. It's an 1,100 hectare farm in Sao Paulo state, correct? So you studied economics, then you worked in banking in Sao Paulo, but in 2018 you went back to your hometown to run your farm. So maybe you could start by telling us a little bit, what is your daily life like on your farm? Like, what does it look like? And then I'd be very interested, do you ever miss banking or being an economist? But tell us first, what's it like on your farm? What is it, paint us a picture.
Okay, so first of all, thank you for inviting me. Thank you for having me. I never imagined in my life that I would be working in the farm. So especially because my father, he is not a person that has a long-term history in farming. He also was a businessman. He had an industry. But he did agriculture for a hobby since I was a child. So he started with a small place that we go on the weekends, and then started having cattle, then agriculture, and everything he did, he was learning by himself because he didn't go to college. So I see that I'm doing the same thing. As an economist, I am learning in the field. So now I am studying plant nutrition and physiology because of my job, but I didn't study before when I arrived. I arrived as an economist, and I started learning every day in the field. It's very hard, but I think it's very faster than go to school and learn again for like 4 years, like Brazilians do. And I am pretty sure that college would not prepare me for what I'm seeing every year there. Every year is different, but like now we're in planting season, planting soybean, and I left to be here, but my mind is partially there yet. And then I go every day to the farm. I go to the fields, check on the planting, counting seeds. I like to do this a lot, checking how the seeding is being done. But most of the time I'm at the office, like in computer, doing computer work, strategy, making decisions. So not very different from everyone.
I grew up in New Zealand, and some of my family have farms. I never ever considered going to work on the farm, but in my understanding, it's 7 days a week, right? You're just every day. You don't get weekends really. You've got to be constantly watching and aware, and you get up very early. So is that true?
No, unfortunately.
Wow, you've got it really working well. This is an economist.
She's an advocate.
Yeah, so it's important to say that I am also part of a global farmer network, and I'm seeing now that agriculture is very different everywhere. So I know in the US, like all the families, they go on the tractor and they harvest and they plant. So in Brazil, depending on the size of the farm, this is different. So I am really a manager kind of title, but I like to go on the ground. I make all the decisions, but I stay in the office. So we have people working for us. So I wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for the guys that work with me. They are there planting for me while I can be here. So I have a team. They help me a lot. And I do not drive the tractor, unfortunately.
Not yet. Do you? And to my earlier question, do you miss being an economist? Or you wish you were? Sometimes think, I wish I could go back.
At least once a year, when we have some climate challenge and we suffer some losses, I really say, I quit, I don't want to do this anymore every year. But now people are getting used to it and that don't take me serious anymore.
And I'm sure she's working with economists applied to her job.
Yeah. Well,
very important.
Of course. Anna, you've had, I think, an absolutely fascinating career. You have lived in the Amazon for more than 20 years over your career, which is amazing. You've worked also all over the world. I see you've worked in Burkina Faso, you worked in Kenya, in Ghana, and you went to university in Japan, which I find like absolutely amazing. So tell us maybe a little bit about why you chose your line of work. And then tell us a little bit about Embrapa, where you're working now. So.
Well, first, bom dia a todos e a todas. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm very happy and very excited with all of this, because we had a hard work to be here right now and offering to the world the agri-zone. And the ones that haven't been there, please do it, because I have to state that's the greatest innovation of COP in Brazil. And I'm very thankful to Bayer as a 30 years partner of Embrapa to believe, to give us this trust. And then, let's go there. I was just explaining that when I was 17 years old, and then when I was deciding what to do in my life, first I thought that I would go to social science and communications, and then I experienced the ECO 92. That was the born of the climate conference.
Here in Brazil.
Exactly, in Rio, because I'm from Rio originally. And then I first heard about sustainable development. I was mobilized in the global forum that happened there. All these people, we were discussing a lot about the Amazon because the deforestation rate at that time was really, amazing. And people were like, okay, we have to help Brazil to stop deforestation. And our narrative as Brazil was, we are Brazilians. We are responsible for that. So we have to take this responsibility. And at that time, I said, you see, I want to work with this.
That's amazing. So it was the origins of the UNFCCC, the origins of COP that got you interested.
Exactly.
And isn't that beautiful? You're now back at
COP
30.
And to tell you the real truth, I don't know how long, because, I'm storyteller. But I didn't speak English, and I don't know if all of you know, but only 5% of Brazilians speak English, most of them white people from medium or higher class. And then but at that time, even though I'm from a middle class family, I couldn't speak English, but I was always amazed with this possibility of have international, especially from the 92, because the word was there, you see. But I had a friend that was official volunteer at the ECO 92, and I was every day there in the global forum. So I used to say that I was also a volunteer because I was trying to guide people and so on. And what I want to say is I think one of the legacies of that ECO 92 is a good part of the social movement, and that the social movement, the NGOs, and even a lot of people from my generation that are working in this subject started from that point. So what I mean, we trained 2,000 volunteers here in Belém. There are so many other youths coming from all over Brazil, from all over the Amazon, and I'm pretty sure that they will be our legacy for the future.
The leaders in the future. Yeah.
Then from that point, I just decided to do forest engineering. My family was like, what? What is this? but invested on me. Okay, this is very important. My father thought, okay, it's a bit strange, but if it's really what you want, you should do it. And then I got in the University of Rio de Janeiro, Rural University of Rio de Janeiro, But in the first year, I come to the Amazon, and I did I was trainee in the Amazon, in the different state of the Amazon, the 4 years of my graduation. Then and then one of these opportunities was with a Japanese company, the Mitsubishi Foundation, that explored timber with one other subsidiary company here in the Amazon. So they had a long-term conservation program. Anyway, I was trainee. After finishing, I went to Japan. That's why I went to Japan, because I had this connection with Japanese universities that, together with Brazilian universities, were carrying out conservation research here. But I was there, but studying forest concession and ecology of forest concession, the first forest concession that was in Acre. So I was coming and going, Yokohama, Rio Branco, going back. So after that, I worked for one NGO, for WWF. I was the manager of a huge, eco-regional program there. Then I passed to Embrapa. Then I worked for the government of Amapá as a former, extensionist, executive director of the forest extension, unity of the state of Amapá. Then I came back to Embrapa, and just to brief, Embrapa has 43 centers of research. We are spread throughout Brazil. Our difference from any other research institution is because we are a network. We are in almost every state. The only states that we do not have research units are Rio Grande do Norte e Espírito Santo. But even in this state, we have mixed units of research along with local research institutions. So we are all over Brazil. And to finalize, yesterday I was talking with the executive director of Toyota. How can you transform research and innovation? Because since Embrapa was born, we have the research department and the technology transfer department. This makes a lot of difference. Henrique, that now supports me, came from one Embrapa unity, and he was the chief of technology transfer there. So every Embrapa project should address research and technology transfer. We are not the ones that have to transfer necessarily in the field. Our mandate is not to work directly with the 5 million properties that we do have. Sometimes we have to do when the extension lacks, okay? But we work in very tight, we have a very tight relationship with the state public extension system. And to really finalize, I am Director of Innovation, Business and Technology Transfer, and I'm also Executive Director of the National Agency of Rural Extension that was created in 2016. So we have as a mandate every Executive Director of Embrapa that holds the technology transfer also accumulates the executive director of this important agency that is being implemented now, and that we are working hardly, especially to work with digital transformation for the rural extension. Because I'm sure that she can be in the office because she works with digital agriculture.
Great. Thank you, Anna. We're going to get on to, I think, the technology transfer. I think that's a really important and an interesting element here. Eleni, you have talked about agriculture as part of the climate solution, not just part of the problem. So how did you come to this conclusion, and how do you think of your work as a farmer in terms of solving climate problems rather than just sort of reducing the harm?
So at the farm, we do regenerative agriculture, which is actually agriculture, but we need to reinvent or to communicate in a different way, because we have not new, but sometimes old approaches, old techniques that maybe they fell out of vogue and are coming back now, like no-till, depending on the reality of your farm, of course. But some of the techniques that we do, and Brazil is like a role model in it, is like no-till, crop rotation. We actually call root rotation, because it's not only to change the crop above the soil, you need to change the roots under the soil, because you need to invite different kinds of families. My friends, the microorganisms that live there, I need them to produce more and more. I need them to do like all the chemistry and the talking they do with the roots, so I can have yield. So I am not an NGO, I am not a company. I need to have a profitable business. Otherwise, I would not be here next year or the following one. So we saw that we need to change our practices from the traditional agriculture, and now the name is Regen Ag, but regarding carbon and being part of the solution, all these minor changes make a huge difference. So I am a small farm here in Brazil, comparing to other size of farms, and doing all these small changes that I am not even an expert, I'm not even a scientist. I could do these changes in my day-to-day, that now we have some numbers. Our carbon footprint for soy is 60% less than the national average, and our carbon footprint for corn is... Thanks, but we have all this data thanks to our partnership that we have with Bayer, the Bayer Forward Farming, because I have the data, but I am working in the field every day, and I wouldn't be able to gather all this data and present to everybody, but we have been doing this. We say we do Regen Ag for 4 years, not more than that, even though my father used to do no-till for 10, 15 years, and also crop rotation. What we changed is that now we make decisions based on the soil health. So we focused on soil health. So before we made decisions, so let's plant sunflower because we don't want to plant corn. Let's plant millet because it's cheap. Now we say, let's plant these cover crops because I have compactation. Let's plant this one because I have nematodes. Let's plant this one because I need straw to cover my soil. So it just changed our mind. We didn't change new equipment or everything.
And yeah, I should point out that your farm is one of only 29 farms worldwide selected by Bayer's Forward Farming Program, and it serves as a reference for regenerative agriculture practices. So how much are you going to talk to other farmers, or talking, I mean, you're here right now, which is obviously reaching many, many people. But how often are you sort of, as part of the program or as part of your daily work, trying to spread the word, if you like, of how this can actually help with climate change?
So I was at the farm with my sisters, so we managed together, and we were just there doing our job in our small city, but this partnership, the Bayer Forward Farming, gave us like the leverage. So I would never probably be here or be in many other events that I did. And also what I think is the most special is because since we established our partnership, which is only a technical cooperation, it's not a commercial contract in any ways, it's just a cooperation. And then after that, our farm became an open door farm. So since then, we received more than 1,000 people there in the farm just to communicate. Because I think as a farmer, I would not oblige anyone to do anything, or I think many farmers are very stubborn, so I would not be able to convince them. So what I can do and what I can do now is just to show people what I'm doing. Not because I know everything and not because I'm the best Regen Ag farmer. We just show what we're doing, what we're trying. So we have some benefits that we can already see.
And you're on social media showing?
Yeah, I'm not very big on social media. Just locally.
You're a farming influencer. Yeah.
Yeah, no. I just invite them to go and see in person, not in a long way through screens. But it's good because we received a lot of students from schools and also from agricultural college. In many agricultural colleges, they don't have Regen Ag as a subject, I think, So I'm happy that we can change this. So at least everybody that went to the farm could see what Regen Ag is and what can be done. And if they change their mind or not, it's not up to me, but at least we are doing this.
Great. Anna, you mentioned a little bit about digital tools, and so could you tell us a little bit about how you use the research that you're doing and how you transfer that knowledge and your findings to farmers? I mean, Eleni obviously I think is able to do a lot of it with help from Bayer, but with her background as an economist. But let's be honest, most farmers are not economists. How do you take your research and transfer it to maybe more ordinary farmers than Eleni?
Let's go. Embrapa works with everyone, from the small ones to the big ones. From the big ones, it's easier because they have more access to information. They can hire their own technical assistants. They can get loans and put the loans in the best technologies and so on. But even though they are our partners and very important partners in open innovation, that's something that's so important. In the past, innovation we had our Embrapa camps of experiments. And then we would apply our research there, and afterwards transferring. Now it's changed. We do our open innovation with cooperatives or even with big producers to do together with them at their farms. And this is very important because it makes innovation happen quicker, right? And then when we go to the small ones, that means 3.7 million properties in Brazil are of small farmers. Then, and when we look to the different Brazilian regions that are very, diverse, like in the South of Brazil, our targets are the cooperatives, because the small producers are well organized, most of them in cooperatives. So then the cooperatives, they hire their extension, and then we work in partnerships with the cooperatives. We train their rural extension technicians to be able to deliver our technologies. But in the other regions, it should or it must come along with public policies. Okay, but traditional Embrapa works with field days. That we gather a lot of, producers to see, as she said, it's not only to broadcast. They have to see, they have to touch, they have to exchange and say, okay, in the end of the day, you are in red or you are in green. Now, in terms of economics, exactly. We say São Tomé. Now, it's the São Tomé politics. If you don't see, you have no credit. So we have these, but then we are going to the DIG. Since especially the pandemics, a little bit before, Embrapa is investing a lot in free online courses. So if you go to Embrapa platform, we have now 200 courses in the different production chains, from customized for different regions, how to produce dairy, how to produce manioc, how to produce mango, how to produce all the main crops and products of Brazil you can find there. Then we scale it up. Now we have a hub where we use artificial intelligence to translate to one, understandable language to technicians, field technicians, and even what we say, alphabetized farmers. Alphabetized? Literate in the digital literate farmers. Everything that Embrapa has for different subjects. So now we have 17 different, we say, A Terra Mais Digital hubs. And then you can go there, 500 questions, 500 answers, videos. We say also customized modules of teaching. And then we went to another stage that now we have the digital agriculture territories. And then there, it's like Embrapa and a bunch of partners, banks, other universities, and so on, to provide everything, to provide the connectivity. Because without connectivity, even though we offer the best content, it can't reach. So we can discover for the different regions of Brazil what is the best tool and cheaper one, because we cannot pay forever. No? And actually the project do not pay. What is the connectivity tool? And then what are the tools that we Embrapa have to transfer to them? How them can be connected to the best markets, to the best public policies. So then the digital brings the governance for agriculture in the field. And usually our hub or our main partner is a cooperative or association of producers. And just to finalize, with the Ministry of Agrarian Development and Family Farmer, we are offering all of these tools to launch at up to the end of the year one national program as public policy for the ministry offer digital transfer tools for agriculture knowledge transfers to address it to the medium and small farmers and properties in Brazil.
Okay, thank you. We've almost run out of time, but I wanted to ask you, Eleni, when you look and think about all of the different technologies or practices or ways of dealing with climate change, what do you see as the most promising technology or practice that you're looking at or that you're thinking about that can help with the goals of COP30?
And giving us some tips.
Well, I don't think I can choose one. I'm a huge fan of technology, as you said. We can run, I'm planting now 800 hectares of soybean with 6 people and 2 planters, so thanks to technology. But just this, there's a variety, like GPS, autopilot. We have like a system that already do the maneuvers of the tractor, so we can be faster, less maneuvers, less diesel, and of course less emissions. We did last year planted a graph in the soil that showed that we, as Brazilians, we know this, but I will say it, we don't need more land to produce more. And then we did, in the field, we planted corn, and all the parcels reducing the size. So in the 1930s, we needed 54 meters of corn planted to have 1 bag of corn. And in 2020, it's like 2 by 2, 3 by 3 square, so we can produce the same bag of corn. And all of this is because of technology. So since GMOs or fertilizers or genetic addition, the fertilizers, one thing that we did to reduce our carbon print is just changing the fertilizer, the source of nitrogen. We cannot produce without the nitrogen. The plants need it. Like food for us, we need it. So the plants need nitrogen, and all the farmers use it. But we changed one kind of nitrogen to a different source, which is nitrate. This one has a very smaller emissions of CO2. So this is a small change that we did, and also changing, maybe using one fertilizer that I would not need to enter one time again in the crop. So every time I enter the crop with the tractor, I am emitting, unfortunately. But then we can take one when we use a different kind of fertilizer. many technologies. One thing that I am using and that I really see that can be like groundbreaking is the located applications. So something that bothered me when I arrived in the farm, as not an agronomist, I said, why are we applying things in the whole crop when I just need to target something, like target a weed or target a bug, and I apply in the whole crop? This does not make sense. So now we already have the technology, so I can use a drone and see where the weed is and only apply the herbicides there. So we are trying this already. This technology is starting to be commercial now, but I think that in some years, I don't know how many, 5, 10, this would be the only way. So this would be the new agriculture. And that's what I hope, that we can call Regen Ag just agriculture, because everybody's going to be doing this.
Okay, we're really out of time, but I want to just ask you one last question with a very short answer, please. What is your, what would you like to see from the negotiators here at COP30 over the next, they're here for the next nearly 2 weeks. What is it that you want to see from them? Maybe, Anna?
Not for me or for her?
Both, but short answers.
I hope, I am very happy. I was like emotional yesterday to see Embrapa. Thank you, Embrapa, for everything that they do. I'm very happy to see that agriculture is finally being called on the table. So we have to be, every time we're discussing climate, farmers should be there, because they are the ones protecting and more worried about all the climate changes. So I'm happy to see that. And I think in every COP we have these agricultural pavilions. And also I would like to see some like concrete outcomes for maybe carbon, or how the farmers will not no longer have to carry all these costs by themselves. So maybe environmental services payment, something like that. I'm sure the greatest minds of the world are working together to do this. So I hope they can come up with some solutions for us as well.
From my side, I think for the COP of the truth or the COP of implementation, the subject is finance. And it's important to put research as part of the climate finance, because there is no future for agriculture if we don't have monitoring of the effects, if we cannot predict what are going to be the effects, if we can give quick solutions for the adaptation, and if we can work in the long time in mitigation. So it's needed, it's important, of course, the commitment from the governments and from the private sector that's placed here, in terms of we need finance to science and research applied to agriculture. And this I think I expect that can be one commitment. We have already the Sharm el Sheikh platform. It's already on. Now the countries and the private sector should look at this and say, okay, we have good examples, I want to support it. And for us, we want really to place another narrative, that agriculture is part of the solution, right? And we do have right now part of what can be applied now. That's why we call really all of you that are here, that are with us at the AgriZone, let's offer to the world what's our agenda of action. We can do it from our side, and then to be an example to the other ones.
There you go. That's a nice, optimistic message. Thank you so much to Anna and to Eline. Thank you very much for being here and for sharing your views with us. So, yeah, thank you. For our second conversation, I'm really pleased to have Rodrigo Santos with me. Thank you both. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, great. So, Rodrigo is a Brazilian native. He's the member of the board of management of Bayer. You serve as the head of crop science division, correct? and you oversee Latin America and Africa on the board of Bayer, and you have 25 years of experience in crop science industry. So welcome. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me. I really was amazed by the conversation that you had here with Anna and Aline. That's great. Really great. Great to be here.
Yeah, so I started by asking them a bit about their background. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you came to work in crop science and came to be such a senior executive board member of such a big, important company?
Yeah, I share some experiences like Aline had, right? I'm from the countryside of Brazil in São Paulo, and my grandfather had a small farm, very small one, of citrus. And as a kid, I was working there. And then I decided and got a passion about agriculture that I carry until today. And it's very interesting because my brother is a dentist, my sister is a dentist, my wife is a dentist, my brother-in-law is a dentist, my sister-in-law is a dentist.
That's why your teeth are so nice.
Great.
I was noticing earlier, it's such nice teeth. Yeah.
It is really, the fight is to whom should I go, but I got a passion about agriculture and I'm still passionate about, and I loved what I just heard here on this conversation.
So you don't have Thanksgiving in Brazil in the same way as America, but that must be interesting conversations at the table, all talking about teeth and you talking about agriculture. So, anyway, so COP30 is here in your home country. What do you see about this COP as being significant in terms of agriculture and climate action? Yeah. What are you seeing in some of the conversations and the agenda this time?
And I wish everyone that is listening to us could have the opportunity to be here. If I wish someone that think about agriculture, if they have the opportunity to walk in the field with Aline or to be in a research station of Embrapa one day, that would be a difference in terms of the perception of agriculture can do for this planet. In the end of the day, as you heard from Anna, it's like agriculture is part of the solution. And nothing better than being in Belém, in the heart of the Amazon, right, to talk about agriculture being part of the solution. This is a country, Brazil is a country that we have 66% of our territory with forests and permanent reserves. We use 9% of the territory for agriculture. In the last 20 years, with the support of Embrapa as an example, is a great contribution. The Brazilian farmers, they were able to increase the production that on the Cerrados region. That was a revolution that happened. And again, as you heard from Aline, we don't need any other additional land to produce more. It's in the land, higher yields and innovation. So yes, you can have, and it's great to be in a country that demonstrate can be an agriculture power and an environmental power. And these two things can coexist. And I think the agriculture is a great example of that. Agriculture can help not only feeding this planet, that is a very important element, but also to help mitigate the climate change, and that's why it's great to be here.
So we heard from the farmers just now. So you've mentioned that agriculture can be part of the solution, but how do farmers play a role in that? Mm-hmm. Can you talk a bit about farmers and how they can contribute?
And Aline was touching that one, and I'll talk a little bit more about that one. I think that for many, many years, farmers were recognized by how much they produce. And hopefully, this COP makes a big effort to not only recognize the farmers for how much they produce, but how they produced. What are the practices they use? So let me give you a very concrete example, because I think that I'm passionate about the fact that this COP is about actions, right? It's not about words anymore, it's about actions. We work here in Brazil for the last 4 years with Embrapa on this Pro Carbono project that we had 2,000 farmers, not 20, not 30, 2,000 farmers. We wanted to do in a scale and very actionable. And during these 4 years, farmers were doing exactly what you heard from Aline, right? So crop rotation, no-till, change of fertilizers, cover crops, managing cover crops for the soil health. And with Embrapa support, we got 300,000 of soil samples. I want to repeat that one. 300,000 soil samples for the data, for the quality of the data and science behind that one. On that example, using regenerative practices, the farmers were able to produce 11% more in average reducing the carbon footprint by 50% or up to 66%. And they were sequestering 2 tons of carbon per hectare. And that's an amazing example of what the farmers can do for mitigating the climate change. And this is a little bit what I hope that we can do more, is recognize farmers financially by doing that. Not how much they're producing, but how they are producing as well.
Yeah, it's fascinating. We're sitting in this Casa Bayer, this beautiful place. I thought maybe I could ask you, I asked Bill Anderson, the CEO, last week, a bit about the place. But why don't you tell me a bit about this venue that we're here in Belém, in this amazing place in the middle of the Amazon, this big city in the middle of the Amazon. But this building, specifically Casa Bayer, maybe you could tell me a bit about how this came about, why we are in this space.
Oh, you see, honestly, you see my smile because I'm Brazilian, right? So I have a bias on that one. It's amazing to do the COP here in Belém. You could do in São Paulo, you could do in Rio, but in Belém you see the reality of Brazil. You see the beauty of Brazil, but you see also the need for development. You see the poverty that you have in this region as well. And one of the things that I'm very proud of, I'm living here with a heart fulfilled, because this Casa Bayer, when the team decided to do this, was like, well, we're gonna have the COP, we're gonna be there. Instead of renting an office, let's do what they did here. Casa Bayer, 250 kids here. They live here every day, and the investment that we did to renovate here, to be able to be safer, better for them to enjoy as we live here next week, it's amazing. So this is a legacy. I'm glad that, I don't know, after 5-10 years, if you come back to Belém, you're gonna see Casa Bayer. The kids will be enjoying here every day, so it's amazing to see here.
Yeah, you can't see it online, but what it is it's an old mansion, beautiful old mansion with like really stunning design, floors, everything. And what happened is, I think Bayer about last June, I guess, took over the building, totally renovated it. It was a community center.
Yes.
Already for children to come and study and for people in the community to come and do classes. Bayer took it over. You've taken it for 1 whole year, I think, and fully renovating and using it for the space during COP. But when you leave it, you'll leave it back to the community, back to the children to come, and it's going to be a legacy of COP and of your company, which I think it's really charming. It's a wonderful little space.
Thank you very much for helping me describe this one. I was probably emotional here, and I was not able to describe it as good as you did. Thank you very much.
I'm an editor, so I just summarize. That's all I do. I take brilliant thoughts and I summarize. So other people's thoughts. Let's talk a bit about innovation. How do you think Bayer can help with the innovation and the technology for farmers like Aline, for entities, government-backed entities like Embrapa? What is the role that you as Bayer are playing when it comes to technological advancement in this area?
So we believe in science and technology, right? So we believe innovation is a core element to produce more and restore more at the same time. Again, helping the farmers to produce more in the same hectare they have, that is a key equation for us to feed and to mitigate climate change. So we are investing heavily on innovation and science and passionate about the work that we are doing, like the Pro Carbono that I mentioned here in Brazil, or if you go to Asia, I was recently in Asia, that we have the direct seed rice. Has a massive impact in terms of environmental impact, in terms of water and also emissions. You have we are working to launch the short stature corn that will really change the way that farmers are producing corn as well, and so many other innovations. Another great example that I was very excited during these days here in Belém is the agreement that was the 4X Belém, now signed by 20 countries until yesterday. I hope that more will sign, but it's how then can produce 4 times more of sustainable fuel. And we are working with some crops like camelina, cover grass, that is a new cover crop, canola, and even corn for ethanol in the second season here that can really help sustainable fuel for aviation and for other sectors as well. So a lot of innovation that is a core element of this transformation for the future, for sure.
So innovation tends to work best when you have cross disciplines and you have meeting of different ideas, and that sparks new ideas. What do you think what are the most important partnerships or collaborations that you see in order to meet some of the goals that people are talking about here at COP30?
That's a wonderful question, because this is probably, if you take me one key conclusion of being in COP or in different forums, it's about that. There is no company or public sector or NGO can do an impact by itself. It's all about partnership and collaboration, right? It's how you have different companies sitting together with the public sector as well, different NGOs, and to make impact for large scale. That's the core element. So we have a lot of collaborations, we have a lot of partnerships, we have more than 100 partnerships in different countries. The examples that I gave here is a good example, but we have others, because again, every company by itself will not have the impact that we need for helping the farmers. We need to have those partnerships in place, and we want to expand that one. If you ask me, my hope that we have more partnerships and collaboration than we have. That's it.
Rodrigo, thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you for having us here in Casa Bayer.
Thank you very much for having me.
And enjoy COP.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, man. Thank you. Now I'm going to invite up Jim Andrew. Jim is the, how are you? Good to see you, Jim. Jim Andrew is the Executive Vice President and the Chief Sustainability Officer for PepsiCo. You've been in this role, I think, since 2020, Chief Sustainability Officer since 2020. You joined Pepsi in 2016. I was asking where you're from. You said you're from Chicago. I said, where do you live? And you said, I'm traveling all the time. So I know the feeling a little bit. So it's really great to have you here. I'd love to hear a little bit about, from you, as we've just done with the farmers and with Ana and with Rodrigo. Tell us a little bit about how you came to be Chief Sustainability Officer for one of the biggest companies on the planet. But how did you get there, and what was sort of the thing that brought you to this moment?
Yeah, it was never on my career plan, but I've never had a career plan, so that's okay. It was really, I'm a business guy. I'm a strategist. I've run big businesses in PepsiCo and others. But the chance to, under our current CEO, Ramon Laguarta, he asked me, hey, you helped me build this strategy. Now I want to put sustainability. And PepsiCo's been working in the area of water and agriculture and all for many years, decades. But I really want to put it right in the middle of the strategy we just got done building, and you're the guy. And I don't know if I was being told or asked, but it was a great opportunity to be able to do something really important at a company and for a leader that really cares. So that's how I got there. I've never looked back. But really, at PepsiCo, we really said, how do we put sustainability squarely in the center of the strategy for the company? So it's been a great ride.
I'm going to say something mildly cheeky. Bill Anderson, the CEO of Bayer, is also the Chief Sustainability Officer. So maybe that's a positive omen for you in your future career.
I think PepsiCo's well set. Thank you.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't want to get you in trouble. What are you looking for yourself from this COP? When you're thinking about like what's being discussed and where the negotiations are headed? What are you really hoping from in a couple of weeks when it wraps up?
Well, I think it's been said by the previous panels, which is it's a unique opportunity for a country, a presidency, to put agriculture, bioeconomy, food systems, and the things related around it, around agriculture, regenerative agriculture, water, squarely in the center of the climate discussion and the negotiations. So that to us, people think of PepsiCo as a very large beverage company, and of course we are, but we're actually a much larger food company. We're about 60% food. So for us, agriculture and all the things around it is a core part of how we are successful and sustainable as a business over time. And so for us, this COP is particularly exciting for all those reasons, because it really takes something that's critical to us, critical to the world for the reasons Rodrigo said, can be part of the solution, and puts the agricultural food system, and importantly, as Eleni said, farmers squarely in the center of the discussion.
Yeah, you've said previously that the global food system is increasingly fragile and at risk. So, and your company, I guess, is sourcing 50 crops from 60 countries. So, what is it that makes you most keeps you up at night? What's the thing that makes you most concerned?
I generally sleep pretty well, fortunately, but I think farming is a tough business, and as Eleni said, it's a business, right? Farmers get, depending on the farmer, somewhere between 30 and 40 times in their life to have it work well or not have it work well. They get generally one shot a year, a couple of areas too. So it's a high risk profession if you think about it that way. And there's always been weather and all sorts of extraneous events, but 100-year storms are happening a lot more frequently than 100 years. Extreme weather events are accelerating in many parts of the world. Wet places are getting wetter, dry places are getting drier. So the need for resilience, the need for from our standpoint, supply security, but from a farming standpoint, resilience in the ability to deal with the increased shocks that many farmers are experiencing are absolutely critical. And I think that's what keeps me up at night, because if farmers can't successfully grow crops, we don't have a business. I mean, in Brazil alone last year, we sourced 450,000 tons of agricultural commodities. So we're a big company, and we work with 300,000 farmers in our direct and indirect supply chains. We have them in there. And so we need farmers to keep farming. We need farmers to be successful, not only for our business, but for the world.
So what does regenerative farming mean for PepsiCo? So when you say a potato farm or a cornfield is regenerative, what are the practices that the farmers have introduced?
Well, I think Rodrigo and Eleni did a good job at starting to detail some of them, and we've got a whole set we work with. Again, I always say this is a team sport, and so we work with a lot of different organizations, Bayer and Brapa, many farmers around the world like Eleni, to really define and determine what's going to work best on an individual farm. All farming ultimately is local. And if you ask any farmer, they'll say, my farm is completely different than any other farm on the planet. And at some level, they're correct, but obviously there's some similarities. And so it's regenerative farming is a set of practices that work well for a given farmer in a given location or micro-location with a given cropping system that they recognize will actually help their business, will help them be more resilient, more successful at farming. And again, we heard some great examples of more productive, lighter environmental footprint, more resilient. So there's a whole set of practices. What's more important than what's on the list and what's not is, what are those practices that a farmer is going to say, these help me right here doing what I need to do to be successful as a farmer. So yeah, there's plenty of lists, but ultimately it's the practices that work for a farmer, which is why they need technical support and peer support in addition to financial support to be able to make some of these transitions and change how they farm.
How do you, as a big company, how do you convince them to change it? Is it you set standards and you sort of green list, or you have punishments? I don't know. How do you actually convince, or is it more by sort of trying to kind of show by example and have different education programs? What's the most effective, I guess, is what I'm asking.
Yeah, but farmers trust and learn from other farmers best. And so, you heard Eleni talk about a network she's in that's I think she said it was global. We have, PepsiCo, we have 55 global demonstration farms. Rodrigo talked about the amount of information and data they've collected here working with him. Brapa, we've done the same thing. So it's really about how can you bring trusted support. Yes, it's data for sure, but it's also peer-to-peer. It's going to a demo farm and seeing on that farm, which looks a lot like mine, this is actually working and somebody's done it. It's being able to have the academic support. Some farmers, that resonates. But ultimately, it's farmers talking to farmers and demonstrating that these things really work. Because again, think about from a farmer standpoint, I'm only going to get maybe 40 shots at this. So I need to know it's going to work. And the best way to do that is talking to another farmer. So we work with farmers, test plots, demo farms, and also what I call hyper-local implementers or trusted organizations that have been in the community for often decades who bring that knowledge, but also that trusted relationship. You know, your father and my father went to school together. Yours been farming, I've been farming. It's come down. I trust you. You show me. You've got support from a couple of companies. There's some okay, now I'm going to go try that new practice. That's the kind of adoption model that works best. Honestly, it's probably the only adoption model that actually works at all, but certainly the one that we found.
It's kind of what Anna was
best.
saying in the first panel, is like you have to feel it, you have to see it, otherwise it's
right, exactly.
Yeah. So in order to kind of make some of these changes that we're talking about, what do you need to see from government or financial institutions or other companies? Like, what is it that is kind of needed to make some of these changes towards regenerative agriculture?
Well, the food system is a dynamic, interconnected set of partners that go from end to end. You know, farm to fork. One way to characterize it. We're here in Brazil. I think about it as a football team. You know, there's a whole set of individual players, and they all have their part. Some are trying to put the ball in the net. Some are trying to make sure the other team doesn't put the ball in the net. You've got referees to make sure that the rules are fair and that they get enforced. You know, so there's a whole set of players. What we need is, I think, two things. One, everybody to play their part, but to play their part and not try and play somebody else's. So the defenders, you know, occasionally are going to score a goal, but usually they need to stay back and make sure that the other team does it. I think the same thing is true for players in the ecosystem. But ultimately, I think the most important thing is we need to get better aligned around what it is we're trying to do. And in this case, I would say it's we know what practices work. And we know that regenerative agriculture works. And again, you heard it from Alini. And people say, well, how do you know it works? And I'll tell you how you know it works. Farmers do it. Farmers adopt. Last year, PepsiCo, we had 3.5 million acres around the world of acreage that farmers who grow for us have adopted regenerative practices on. They don't do that because it's interesting. They do that because it helps them farm. And again, you heard Alini. So we know what works. The question is, how do we adopt these practices at scale, at a much, much more larger scale than we have, and also at an accelerated rate? It's not about getting faster. It's about getting faster. It's the second derivative for the statistical folks in the room and on the video. We have to get much better aligned around the goal, and the goal is not what does any individual player do. The goal is win the game. And in the case here, I think it's about how do we create a more resilient food system. How do we adopt regenerative practices at scale, farmer by farmer, in a way that works for them, helps them be more resilient, have a lighter environmental footprint, and be able to withstand the climate checks, while at the same time, as we said, grow more on the acreage, the hectares that we have, because the world needs more food. So it's those things, but we all need to get lined up around that. And right now, whether some governments are, some aren't. Financiers haven't built purpose-built industrial strength transition products and instruments to actually help do that. I mean, a farmer that has adopted regenerative practices is more resilient, lower risk, and generally going to have higher yields. That's a bankable proposition, and yet there's far too little financial engineering, and I say that positively, financial engineering going at how do I develop specific instruments that will help farmers like Alini make that transition. Also, smaller farmers, the very largest farmers often have the capability, but there's a whole set of farmers that need that financial help. Companies like us, like Bayer, like others, we can only fund so much out of our, and you know, we're a very large funder of those things, but we need the entire ecosystem to get much more aligned, and that's where governments, financiers, NGOs, all can step up and play a bigger part, as well as the companies that aren't doing things today.
Jim, thank you so much. We've run out of time, but it's great to see you here, and thank you for everything. It's wonderful. Thank you all for watching. I'm Jamil Andolini, Politico's Regional Director for Europe, coming to you from Belém in the Amazonian rainforest in Brazil. And thank you again to Bayer and for having us here in Casa Bayer, this beautiful venue. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Cut. Good job, thank you.